things aren't always as they seem. We brought our friend Jonathan here to talk about the government and conspiracies.
Yeah, there's some interesting ones out there that we're going to open up and see what our thoughts are on those. So be ready for an interesting episode.
We're going to talk about some weird things.
Yeah.
Let's hit the road.
Welcome back to Road Talks, episode 3.
Took a bit of a hiatus.
I don't know what that means.
Hey.
It's been a rough time in our lives. I started school back, so that's been really tormenting on my social life and brain, and you know.
Positive note for
rough.
Cam, you started working again.
Yeah, I started working at Chili's. Getting plenty of hours there, raking in the bucks.
Welcome to Chili's.
Yeah.
Welcome to Chili's.
By the way, this is our friend Jonathan.
Yeah.
We go pretty far back with Jonathan, so we're here to talk about some conspiracies today.
Oh, fun.
Conspiracy theories are great.
Yeah.
Everybody likes that. So let's just.
I would actually like to start with mine.
Okay. We'll just
Because
start.
mine is really good, and a lot of people believe in it, and a lot of people believe in it that you would not think you would believe in it. Did I say that right? Okay. We did not land on the moon. Yeah. What do you think?
I could agree with that. You know, it was Cold War. We were at we were at an arms race. Well, actually, Reagan started the arms race, but we were with a lot of races with the Soviet Union. The space race was one of them. And honestly, why waste time and money with actual engineers and science when you could just fake it and then convince the Russians, like, oh, well, they beat us to it.
What are your thoughts on this issue here? Do you think we landed on the moon?
I do.
Speak up a little bit.
there's a
I
few
have to have the air conditioning.
Oh,
I'm a
yeah,
very
sorry.
hot individual.
No, I got you. There's a few little tidbits of indisputable evidence. Well, indisputable evidence
Okay.
that we landed on the moon.
Words.
And that would one of which would be the direction of the light rays coming in the camera shot. Because the thing is that if you look at the shadows in the actual footage of the moon landing, what you'll see is that all the shadows are parallel and straight, relative to each other. If they tried to do this in the studio, they'd branch out. Basically, because the sun is so far off, by the time all the light gets to the moon or wherever the camera was, the light rays were basically going parallel to each other. If they were doing this in the studio using normal Fresnel or Leica, I'm a lighting guy, so Fresnel or Leicas, the light rays would be diverging, and you would see that in the shadows.
Wow. He's taking a lot of
Okay,
science.
let me tell you this. This is where I'm going to ruin your argument. You're telling me that they have a room, like, okay, this is. Can someone look this up? Because I think that we landed on the moon in the 60s, right?
1969, yeah.
1969, early 70s, so that time. A computer was the size of my house. Okay, so you're telling me that 40, 50 years later, I cannot land something on the moon with this phone that is more powerful than that entire room? I mean, think about it.
Well,
there is no physically possible way that I could get this to the moon. They could get a giant computer there 40, 50 years ago.
I think that's a little misconstrued, because they're saying your phone is powerful enough to power the craft that will get that to the moon. It's not a craft that will go to the moon. Your phone doesn't have rockets.
Can I get a fo-fo-fo? Crispy chicken sandwich. Oh, actually,
All right,
let me just get the junior cheeseburger. I'll take a Coke.
Any sauce?
Any sauce? No. Can I also get another junior bacon cheeseburger, plain,
Small fries, medium, vanilla Coke.
Yep. Thank you.
with a small fry and a medium Coke?
All right. Anyway, so while
Okay,
we're waiting for Cam's order, we can
Back to the moon. Okay, what were you
Back
Can
to
I
the
say something
future.
real quick?
Yeah.
So this is the Apollo Guidance Computer, AGC for short. It's actually about the size of
Let me see
a
it.
few binders, or a really large.
probably hard to see because the
Probably about the
reflection.
size of a computer monitor, just a little bit thicker.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
it has nothing to do with that. I just wanted to say, interestingly enough, the memory technology they use, they actually use woven strands of wires. All the data was actually woven into the computer by hand, not programmed. Interesting tidbit.
Interesting fact
Thank you.
by our tech guru Jonathan Baxter,
That is me.
because he knows more about that than any of us. So we have Jonathan, who believes we landed on the moon. I'm kind of indifferent because I think it's possible that we did, but I also, me being a proponent of capitalism, I don't even know, thinks that it is perfectly okay to swindle your audience into thinking you did something
That's a fair point.
that you didn't do.
And but before we continue, I would like to say that I keep an open mind about things like this, unless I see, I've seen the evidence on both sides, and I kind of just make a decision. So I'm always open to having my mind changed if I see, reasonable evidence to do so.
So comment below what you think. Obviously, we didn't land on the moon.
Did
so-
we land on the moon?
Yes.
If you say we did, you're probably wrong.
I heard a conspiracy theory.
What's
Speaking of
that?
Comments. Here, half of y'all don't have the subscribe and the little bell thing on, so found that.
Ah, yeah, you should subscribe and then hit the notification button so that you can see these awesome videos. Okay.
I've always wanted to do that.
My
Speaking-
card declined. Okay.
Oh, really?
There you go. You're welcome.
Well, anyway, so my conspiracy theory is pretty similar to Cam's. I think Antarctica is a big old government cover-up. Wait, hold on. Let me see this. All right, this is proof that we, in fact, did not land on the moon. This says established 1969. You see that right there? We landed on the moon in 1969. That is a sign from God that we didn't land on the moon. By the way, Wendy's is today's not our sponsor.
Yeah.
So, anyway, back to what I was saying. So, from my perspective, for example, I've never been to Australia. So, how do I know if Australia actually exists? Well, my argument isn't necessarily about Australia. I'm just using that as an example. What I'm talking about is much more important, because I think that Antarctica is a huge government cover-up. Because there's probably something going on our South Pole.
Oh, space Nazis.
Well, that's one of them, and I don't know. You're correct. I know that there's several theories about Antarctica. One of them is the space Nazi kind of idea. There's one theory about Antarctica that says there's a massive hole in the South Pole. I believe it was Charles Lindbergh maybe said that,
That sounds about right.
when he flew around the world, that he passed over the South Pole and he saw a massive, like miles wide hole in the earth in which he was able to fly into, and there were green people living on the inside of our planet, and there was a sun in the middle of our planet, or at the center of our planet, with a sustainable ecosystem and like basically another world inside of the earth. So that's one theory about Antarctica, and that the government is keeping it from us. There's another man named Admiral Byrd, who he was a admiral in the Navy, and he was flying over around Antarctica, and like some crazy things went wrong with his gadgets, and eventually he was flying over this vast land of just like covered in resources, like tons of vegetation, and it was massive, like way bigger than they say Antarctica is, like on our maps. So this massive continent filled with animals and plants and all kinds of resources. And he was greeted by these like spaceships that had swastikas on them. This was in World War II, by the way. There were plenty of people who believed that the Nazis inhabit Antarctica, and the government is also keeping that from us. There's also according to Admiral Byrd, like this massive mountain range that sort of acts like a wall, where there is like an icy part. Wall. There is an icy part of Antarctica, and then once you pass the mountain range, you get to the actual continent of Antarctica, where it's very warm, like almost temperate, and there's all those plants and animals everywhere. And the Nazis have built this giant city, like this massive city, like something from Star Wars or something on Antarctica. So like, I think either two things. Either if there's no hole in the South Pole, Antarctica is indeed a massive continent filled with tons of resources that we could use to fuel our future, but we don't because the government doesn't want us being advanced enough, potentially maybe to take over the government, because if we
Thanks,
had...
Obama.
Yeah, thanks, Obama. Anyway, I think that is the case. There is this massive continent, and that the Nazis actually live there, and they have like their entire like operation on Antarctica. And so the Third Reich didn't ever actually fall. They just snuck away.
Hitler killed himself.
Like what I think what happened was Hitler faked his death. He had been building a city on Antarctica, and he went down there to finish the city, and he actually did take over the world, and all of our governments are actually being run by the Nazis from their secret base on Antarctica, which is actually this massive metropolis and a continent.
Except for Trump.
Okay, maybe, but see, the reason we see so much political turmoil nowadays is because the Nazis are still around, and they're controlling our entire planet, and they're evil. And so that's why you have people like Hillary Clinton and Vladimir Putin, and
Call them out.
And
Yeah, that would make sense.
they're all actually Nazis, and they're being controlled by the actual Nazis, the Third Reich that still exists on Antarctica.
That would make sense because, you know, the Third Reich hated the USA and Russia because they
Right.
both screwed them over.
Right.
So, like, you know, if the Nazis were making Russia and America screw with each other, that would make sense. Just a little fun
Right.
trick for them.
So, from a historical standpoint, I think that the Nazis do still exist, and they actually did take over the world, and they did it in secret. Because if they took over the world by force, and like people would want to rebel, and that it wouldn't work, it wouldn't be sustainable. But if they made everyone think that they disappeared, then no one would know that they took over the world,
Oh, yeah.
and they can rule the world forever.
Yeah.
So I think the Nazis still exist. Either it's that, or there is a massive hole in our South Pole, and that Satan actually, because Satan walks the earth, by the way. Satan's not in hell. See, it's kind of like Dante Alighieri's The Inferno.
Yeah.
When Satan was cast out of heaven, he hit the earth so hard, he hit it in the South Pole, he made this massive hole. That's probably what Charles Lindbergh and those guys saw. He's not trapped in the hole. I mean, he can come, because he can walk around Antarctica, but I think Satan lives on Antarctica, and that's where that massive hole is, because he hit the earth so hard. That's probably how the dinosaurs died too, like
That
the
would make
KT
sense.
asteroid.
That would make
This has
sense.
gone way too out of control.
The thing that ties all this in, 1958, the United States and Russia and 9 other countries signed to protect Antarctica. That doesn't really make any sense, because the United States and Russia were in the middle of the Cold War, and Antarctica is a strategic place to put military operations. And I don't know.
All of our nukes go over Antarctica to
Right.
get to Russia, and
Right.
vice versa.
I don't know why the United States and Soviet Union would sign to protect Antarctica if it was a strategic location to put military bases and whatnot in the middle of the Cold War. So that just proves to me that Antarctica is not what it seems. Okay, next conspiracy theory.
Britney Spears was accused of remember all her drama like a few years ago, like
Yeah.
2000. Yeah. Anyway, she was accused of causing all that drama to distract the media from all of Bush's kind of blunders and political unrest.
Huh.
I heard that theory, and I also saw an interview with Britney Spears where she was like suspiciously like, I think we should respect our president, and whatever decisions he makes, we should respect it because he's the president and he knows what he's doing, kind of thing, kind of kissing him. So
Huh.
I could see that being plausible.
You know-
Oh yeah, and remember that they made a whole movie about this one guy that was a TV personality that went over to North Korea to assassinate the North Korean leader. Completely nonfiction. It's oh man, what was it called? Oh,
The
The
Interview.
Interview. That's
Oh,
what it
yeah,
was.
that was-
Yeah.
that was-
Yeah, and that's Seth Rogen. He's a daredevil.
Yeah, they. Remember what he did to that thing? Oh man, that's rough. One more, and my favorite is, what was the one? Bye Bye America. You gotta tell them.
Yeah. Okay, the song "American Pie" by Don McLean.
Oh yeah.
So, what do you want to explain?
No, you got it, Big Doug.
Don McLean's folksy hit song "American Pie" actually predicts the end of America by satanic communists.
Yeah, it does.
So if you remove the word pie from the chorus, and you change the word American to America,
It says, "Bye, Miss America."
it says bye. Oh, and miss. My bad. If you remove those three words or those two words and that one letter, the letter N, you get bye bye America. Very polite way of.
Bye bye America. What does that mean?
I mean, and then you've got, it's talking about freaking. It says Satan a lot in the song.
I got one after you. I just remembered.
Okay, it says Satan a lot in the song, and it talks about like fire or whatever, and like one lyric is 8 miles high and falling fast.
Yeah,
like
it's
the
a nuke.
nukes, like nukes are gonna destroy the United States. So communist Satan is gonna come and destroy the United States with his massive communism.
What is?
Oh, it's Fred.
What's up, Mr. Fred? How you doing, sir?
How's school going?
I'm loving it. It's great.
Are you?
Yeah.
All right, sounds good.
I'll see you around.
I
So-
love Fred. All right, well those are the conspiracy
Those are
theories.
some pretty good words. Those are some pretty good conspiracy theories.
They were pretty good. You got anything to add, Cam?
Nope. All right, so so if that like, subscribe, comment your favorite conspiracy theory. If you have any ones that beat ours, definitely comment those. Doubt it, but okay.
Give us some suggestions for next week's episode.
suggestions for next week. What else was there? Yeah, that's it. All right,
We're not real.
Oh, we are conspiracy theory.
Yes.
All right, safe
Safe
travels.
travels.